Previously on part one.
That's why the digital tools are so amazing because you can see them
Yeah.
telling the story. You can see the change in expression, the movement of the hands. It's when it's written down, you don't see any of that. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
impart the same information. It doesn't the same context. It doesn't give you half of the meaning that you
No,
get.
the intent is gone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, because like I could write down that the couple of stories that I've been told, and it just looks like fan fiction. But talking to the elder who's since passed, but
Mhm.
the way they told me, I'm like, I felt like I was a little kid just sitting on a bench, just like listening to this guy tell this story. I'm like, whoa. And I was like 20, 24, 25 at the time. Uh, that's the power of storytelling, and our culture is our whole lives are like our story passed down through generations. I feel like that's why it's so important for us too.
Exactly. And why?
Again, residential school, the story was taken from us and told we weren't allowed to share that story.
You're,
My sorry to interrupt you.
go ahead.
My dad, my dad went to residential school. Half the people I know on the reserve went to residential school. Um, and then like one of the main things that I was taught in school from a residential school survivor who was also our social studies teacher. Um, One day we were just walking the hallways, and I remember being like super depressed because I was on my come up. I was thinking about where I wanted to be. I wanted to work in animation. I had goals, right? So I was just depressed and walking my head down. Get into class. The teacher standing there like super confident, stoic, and I'm like, oh, are we in trouble? And then she starts her her conversation or her teaching, and she's like, I see that a lot of you walk the hallways with your heads down. I want you guys to know that when we were in residential school, we were told to always look at the floor. We weren't allowed to look up and make eye contact with the teachers. So she was like, when I see you guys walk in the hallways, I want you to walk with your heads held high because you walk with your ancestors. And like getting shivers right now thinking about it. But since then, I've used that. There are times where I'm like looking down and it makes me introspective. Like I feel the weight of what I'm feeling, and then that conversation clicks and hits with me, and I'm like, oh yeah, head held high, move forward with confidence, and I use that every day of my life too. It doesn't work all the time because again, depression is a wild thing to go through, but when I need it at the time, it does help.
I love that because you're walking with your ancestors, or your
Yeah,
ancestors are walking with you.
yeah,
That they're there.
and it's such a powerful thing to use, and I wanted to share that because it is it there's history behind that. What she was saying, there's meaning behind it.
Absolutely. And your teacher went to residential school.
Yeah, I can't remember her name. Um, I brought this story up uh, on my last speaking gig with my school, and we couldn't figure out who it was. So I'm gonna next time I'm back, I'm gonna try to figure out who it was and thank them
Yeah.
because that I mean that could have just those words probably kept me from going down the wrong alley or
Well,
meeting the wrong people.
exactly. It's amazing how something like that can really make such a huge difference. Like
100%.
just that bit of a turn.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the foster care system, pretty much my whole childhood. It was constantly walking that walking that edge of falling off each side, but staying on the path, right? Um, yeah, just
It
wild.
takes a lot of internal will because
Yeah,
it's so easy to slip off one side or the other. Like for you to be able to do that, that speaks really highly of your own strength,
yeah.
strength
Uh,
of character.
and to know that's what I wanted my whole life, and to know when alcoholism was like rampant in my life, Um, it's something I didn't want uh, to take hold of me, and it doesn't. I, I have a drink every now and then, but it doesn't. I don't look at it like something that has a hold on me. And when I do see or talk to people that it does, they ask me like, "Oh, how come you're not like drinking all the time?" I'm like, it just doesn't have that hold on me like it does. And it's not to like look down on people who do. It's like I feel more empathy um, towards them because I understand the weight that that carries. I've seen it through the parenting that I've had in my life. Um, it's just something I didn't want. And now that I have kids, I'm like, I don't want my kids to see that, grow up like that. Um, yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, that's when I quit. When well, we were trying to get pregnant for about a year, and during that time, I'm thinking, no, I quit drinking, and then it was surprising. Yeah, alcohol was surprising easily to give up alcohol. I used to like to smoke a lot of weed.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
different.
Well, I did too. Like, but then like I realized the benefits of what I was getting from it. I'm like, now I'm not focusing on the goal.
Exactly.
Um,
I couldn't write grants.
and
Like,
yeah,
yeah,
and
and I
if it
wasn't
works for
I don't
you,
want my kid. You know.
yeah, like if it works for you, I mean, sure. Uh, for me personally, I just occasionally now that it's legal,
Yeah.
there was a time where it was illegal.
Oh yeah.
Oh, sorry, offshoot.
Okay.
My daughter this past weekend picked up a case and she goes, "What's this?" And I was like, "Oh no, it's a CD case." She's like, "What are CDs?" I'm like, "Oh my god." I and then oh my gosh, another offshoot. She We're showing her Star Wars Episode 4, and her understanding of Star Wars is all Fortnite references. She's like, "Oh, that's that guy from Fortnite." I'm like, "That's Darth Vader." Yes. "Oh, those guys are from Fortnite. Those are stormtroopers." Yes. Now I feel old. I thought I was old, but now I really feel old. I just have to wait for my back to go out. um, that's a joke to the producer Evan, who is in the background with a hurt back. I don't
Yes.
know, not to call him out. Um, but yeah,
Him and his heating
uh,
pad.
yeah,
Poor Evan. Huh.
but yeah. Like, I just wanted to talk more about like foster care and being within that system. Uh, it was wild. It was such a horrible experience. At the time, it was mostly survival when it came to uh, being within those families that I was with. Um, being like the good kid, like trying to be the good kid just to survive, to like not get in trouble or whatever. And then the government's handling of that was just atrocious. Atrocious?
Hmm.
Horrible. We'll just say horrible. Uh, I I remember numerous times where they just there was one point where we were going to court because the court wanted us to stay within the foster care system, but my mom was supposed to get custody of us. And I remember the foster parents trying to convince me to say to the judge that it would be better if I stayed with the foster care system because I get allowance and stuff, something like that. And again, with going to counseling and stuff like that, these repressed memories started coming up, and that was one of them. Um, just wild, greasy things that were going on within that system. And this leads to the millennial scoop uh, thing that's happening. The They're suing the government over this because that again there's the 60 scoop, now it's leading into the millennial scoop because that was definitely a thing because they found that the government was deliberately taking indigenous kids from indigenous homes to put them in the foster care system, and my whole family was part of that system. uh,
Well, when Cindy Blackstock, it took them to court, or the Human Rights Tribunal. The system, especially on reserve, was created to take the kids. The structure of the system was that the kids would be taken one way or another, because the on reserve foster care, the children's aid, had one pot of money to pay for
yeah,
everything. And if you
Yeah.
had a kid who had medical problems, then they couldn't pay for those medical problems because, of course, it had to go through that system. And
Yeah.
so then that kid was put into the foster care system in order to get the medical bills paid.
Yeah.
So sick kids were being taken from their parents.
Yeah.
And it was set up that way.
Yeah. Like, and that leads to the whole reservation. Like, the idea of a reservation is the exact same thing. It's just to, it's kind of like brutal to say it, but like we were cattle just put into this place and we were told to stay there. But it's like all about this whole system of holding us back and leaving us away from society. So we're not looked at. We're just away. Um,
Well,
Reserves are some of the most beautiful places in the world. If you go to them, the powwows on these reserves are a transformative experience. It's yeah, and then we just have this government that wanted to keep us back, wanted to hold us back, right?
well, we stood in the way between the government and the resource extraction.
Mm. Yes, yeah,
It's always been about the land. It's always been about resources, whether it's lumber or oil or whatever,
yeah,
mining. You know,
yeah.
I don't know if you've heard, but recently our premier
Mm-hmm.
said that you have all these. I don't know if he said Indians. He might have. All these communities who are sitting on the gold and they're sitting on this stuff, and yet they still come to us hat in hand for more money. And
Doug Ford said that, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. In
Ugh,
other
I
words,
know.
no,
I,
because he's trying to pass through a bill, or I think he has actually, that
yeah, I
says
think it
that
did
they don't
pass. Yeah,
have to bill 5, that they don't have to get consent
yeah.
to
It's
mine.
disgusting, and the fact he had to walk it back and he had to apologize, but like you can't say stuff like that and expect the communities to agree with your apology.
No,
That's that just shows like years and years of not following and adhering to the Truth and Reconciliation.
absolutely.
Uh, like he's still thinking like that.
Yeah,
That doesn't just slip out. That's
no. And the only thing he apologized for was the whole hat in hand with their hand out.
yeah,
He didn't apologize around you're sitting on all this gold or minerals or whatever. Like he didn't
yeah,
apologize for the intent of that comment,
yeah,
that he's going to go in and just take.
yeah, yeah. And that, how does that feel to the average Indigenous person? That feels
It's
like,
terrifying.
oh, like it goes back to like, oh, you guys actually don't care. No one actually
Oh,
cares.
no,
And
you know it.
Indigenous people are constantly fighting
Yeah.
that no one cares.
It was Wilton Littlechild. He was one of the commissioners in the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and he said when they sent everybody to residential school, first they taught us to hate ourselves, and then at the same
Mm-hmm.
time they taught mainstream to hate us.
Yeah,
And then he said they turned us into animals, and then they turned us loose.
yeah,
All in the hopes of removing that barrier to the land, to the to
yeah,
the to the resources. That's what it's always been about.
yeah. And like that, the foster care system was had similar ideals. Like
Yeah,
I noticed going to church, being forced to go to church every Sunday, how things were tailored towards my mentality of being Indigenous, um, and then growing up like that, coming out of the foster care system, you're super confused about who you are, your identity. You go through identity crisis.
mhm.
You don't know who you are on and off the reserve. Um, Thankfully now I know who I am, but I still fight with that person who was taught that. Um, and that's where what is it called? Reconnecting the reconnecting. The person who's reconnecting is I don't know where I was going with that. Um, Basically, I've struggled really hard to reconnect with who I am.
Mhm.
Not so much my culture, because I did have, I was fortunate enough to grow up on the reserve with my family. I know who I am as an Indigenous person, but believing who I am on the reserve as an Indigenous person coming out of foster care was super hard. Uh, yeah, I don't know how to explain that as well as I could.
Well, we're always taught that we're less than. Uh,
Yeah,
you know, even when I was growing up, my mom is non-indigenous, so there was that dichotomy, between
and
the.
then sorry to interrupt you, but like, and then your mom must have had that whole issue with status cards.
Oh
So
yeah,
back in the day, wasn't it super against women dating within the like, say if like a woman dated or married to an
man.
Indigenous person, this they would lose status,
Yes, they would. No,
or
they,
it was the man if a
well, but because
Indigenous
my
woman.
father was status, when my mother married him, she gained status because she was
Yes,
non-indigenous. But if my aunt, when she married, her husband was indigenous, but his father had never been registered, so there was no status.
yeah,
But he was full blooded anyway. But he didn't have status. So when my aunt married him, she lost her status. So
yeah,
whenever an
isn't it?
indigenous woman married a white man or a non-registered, non-status man, she lost status.
Yeah, that's changed, hasn't it?
It has to a degree. Now they have like a cutoff. They've given back status to a lot of the women who lost it, but their kids are C31s. So it's still like there's 61A, which is what I am because my father was indigenous. The 61A is also someone who's considered full blooded. Both parents are indigenous.
Yeah,
C31 is someone who um, is one parent is indigenous and the other one isn't.
okay,
Because now, when people get married, the other partner doesn't, they don't lose status, but they don't gain status either.
yeah,
So now it's after two generations. So if a C31 has to um, marry or have kids with a status person in order for their kids to retain their status. And if they don't, then they still have some to a degree, but then their kids, like within two generations, there's none.
that's like the blood quantum thing, right? That,
Pretty much. Yeah.
yeah,
It's not
it's
as,
so weird that it's like numbers, right?
yeah,
C31, like,
it's not as, in the States, it's really way worse. You get a card depending on what blood quantum you are. Here, it's more of like a cutoff. They don't,
yeah,
you get the same card or whatever, but it's a cutoff.
yeah. Thankfully, my daughters both got their status cards.
Uh,
Um,
so does my son.
yeah,
He's
it's just,
actually, his father was Moose Cree. So we registered him with Moose Cree First Nation.
I love that. I love our names too. Moose Cree, Swamp Cree, Woods Cree, Plains Cree. I'm Plains Cree.
The Plains Cree.
Um, yeah. It's just I don't. It's it's weird. It's so weird that we're just numbers.
Oh, yeah.
We're like, obviously we're not numbers, but like to the government we're numbers, and it's weird to have to like register yourself as a number.
Yep.
But then that's like the whole social security number thing. But like to be Indigenous, it's
But Social Security is just to get benefits and to work. When you're Indigenous, it's your identity, really.
exactly, yeah,
I was in a room full of status where I was at a conference or whatever. We were talking about status and we are talking about status numbers. And then all of a sudden, I don't know, just, how people suddenly do stuff together. Well, all of a
yeah.
sudden, everybody started rhyming off their status number.
I've never gotten mine, remembered mine. It's just I pull out my card. I'm like, here it is.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, I know mine. I don't know myself,
Um,
but I know mine.
not to tangent off, but I remember the reason why I got into speaking up more about sharing my story and stuff. Uh, and once we talked about stats, you brought up stats. Um, I was part of this initiative in BC, and a former podcast host that you had, Maritza,
Yes.
she was also part of it. And she might have mentioned it, but I can't remember who it was. True Calling, I think they were called at the time. They um, they did like a dashboard, and they wanted to see how many Indigenous people, or I think it was ethnic groups working within the tech sector in BC. and Indigenous was part of that. And at the time, it was a data pool of 4,000. Yeah, 4,000 people within the tech sector in BC. And the stat was 0.7% identified as Indigenous.
Mhm.
And it worked out to like 22 people.
Yeah, I think
And
it
I was
was.
like, I saw that stat and it blew my mind. I was like, first off, I was like, there's 22 of us? I was like, sweet. But then I started thinking about it like, oh, there's 22 of us in a pool of 4,000 people. Those are really low numbers. Um, so then with having my first kid and talking to my wife, I was like, I need to start sharing my story more because uh, it can be inspirational and it can be like, excuse me, or it is inspirational.
It
I
is.
was gonna say it's sad, but it's actually really happy and dumb at times. But again, it's just sharing my story so more kids see that like someone that looks like them makes cartoons. I think in 2022 they did a new study, and I think the number jumped to like 1.4, 1.5%. So the numbers are going up. It's
So,
just,
so 40
yeah,
would change.
it's progress.
Way
It's
better.
small
Yeah,
progress,
it's
but
like almost double.
yeah. So I'm just gonna keep sharing my story as much as I can, doing public speaking gigs, workshops, um, because it matters. I wish I saw someone like me. Had I known that earlier, I would have asked to shadow them faster, sooner. Um, yeah, it's
Yeah,
just,
it means a
I
lot
th-
to kids to be able to have those. I never had anything like that. I mean, when I
yeah,
was, I my parents brought us up in Toronto because if we'd lived on reserve, I would have gone to residential school, and so would my brothers. So my dad's like, no, we're not doing that, not those schools, because he went. And so we moved, and they were only married in 54. And that was the year that the pass system ended, or it was a year after the pass system ended. So while my parents were dating, my dad still had to get a pass in order to leave the reserve. So,
that's where, if anybody was wondering, there's a quote that everybody says in movies: "He's off the reservation."
yeah,
If you hear that, that's based in
on the pass.
racism.
Yeah.
Yeah,
As a matter of fact, when apartheid was being created, they came here and looked at our pass system. And that's what they brought back to South Africa for the apartheid.
gross.
Yeah.
Same thing in Australia too, right?
I think so. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, British colonial, they use the same MO everywhere,
yeah,
pretty much, everywhere they went.
greasy.
Um, so we were raised in Toronto, and we didn't. I went to the Toronto school system, and we were taught nothing. We were
Yeah,
absolutely not, except there was one book. It was called They Went Exploring, and of course, history started at when Canada was settled, like when the
yeah,
settlers arrived. There was nothing before that. And they had these pictures of, the warring savage Indians. And everyone turns, I was the only Indig kid in the whole school.
yeah,
My brothers were too old. They'd already gone, and my younger brother hadn't started. And they all turned and looked at me. And I'm like, but I'm Algonquin.
yeah,
I didn't know, what
yeah.
to say. So, like, there were no role models, like nothing.
100%.
Yeah.
I Two things. One, when that happens, it's weird that you become the spokesperson for all Indigenous people,
Everything.
and it's like you're supposed to have all the answers, and it's just wild. And especially when you're reading through their history books, it's one chapter, maybe a page of
Yeah.
history, and it's all sunshine and rainbows. Like, check it out, we made a bridge here. We did this. That's
Yeah.
that's one thing I've struggled with coming out of high school. Explaining it to my friends, like, hey, we have one chapter of us. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
And then
Exactly.
like you go into like the whole like the last residential school being closed in 1996.
Yeah.
Explain that to people, like Tupac died in 96. Like,
Oh my God.
how wild. Like, you can place historical times within our generation
Exactly.
to like that last residential school closing.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a kid I was teaching at First Nations Technical Institute, and it was the Aboriginal Media Program. It was the first diploma college diploma program in media, in Aboriginal media, and one of the students who came straight from residential school in '96.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah,
So close, and it's like the whole mentality, like, oh, like why are we still talking about this stuff? You guys should move on and get over it. Like,
exactly. It's still going on.
it's still going on. Like that, you think it ended with residential schools?
No, look at the CAS. The millennial scoop is like way larger than the '60s scoop. Like there
Yeah,
are more kids in foster care than there ever were in all of the residential schools
yeah.
now today. I mean, it's not gone away. It's happening right now. You know, the
That's
barriers that we face.
it's wild, and
You know,
it can be super triggering to talk about this stuff. Um, and if it is, like, please reach out to people who can help you. Um, at the same time, these conversations need to happen because there needs to be more awareness on it. Because I'm still talking to people that have no clue that these things happened.
mhm.
Um, and there are people asking, like, I, again, that comes to the being the spokesperson to all Indigenous people, right? Like, I don't have all the answers, but there are resources you can look up.
At least now there
Here
are
are some.
resources.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. I remember that being a representative of my people.
Hmm.
You know? And
Yeah.
I do work with the school boards. And one of the things that we brought to their attention was don't ask kids in your class to explain their culture. That's not their job. And furthermore, maybe they were in foster care, or maybe they were urban, or maybe they, you know, that disconnect has occurred and they don't have that knowledge. And all you're doing is making them feel shame.
Yeah.
So
Wish I
don't
had
do
somebody
that.
like that.
Do your freaking homework. Like, you don't ask
Yeah.
kids in your class about their culture like that. That's just wrong.
Or even like the whole Truth and Reconciliation Day must be a nice holiday for you guys. It's not for us. It's for you guys to learn about truth and reconciliation. Uh,
They told us at the school board that, oh, we don't want to do too much about the missing and murdered Indigenous women because, you know, we don't want to trigger the kids.
Kids are smart. They're gonna figure out one way or the other. And do you
Yeah,
want them to like learn it improperly, or do you want them to understand?
exactly. And there are kids in your schools who have been impacted by this.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's
Yes.
not a missing and murdered Indigenous woman or girl, it's a missing or murdered Indigenous man or boy
Yes.
because it's happened. I, I I'm trying to think of somebody I know who hasn't been impacted one way or another in their family,
Yeah.
and I
I've
can't.
been impacted. My When I was in college, my little sister was hit by a drunk driver, and she was left there to die, and she passed away.
Oh my god.
It was a very difficult time to get through college, and then the year after that, my older brother passed away. So in that whole 2 years of me being in school, I lost two siblings,
Jeez.
and then because of the righteous thing I put on myself to graduate, I needed to do this because I can't be a failure. I didn't deal with those issues, the trauma that came from that. I just pushed it down aside because I needed to graduate.
Yeah.
I need to do this because if I don't graduate, I'm going back. I'm going back to the reserve. I'm going to be homeless. These are things that were going through my mind. I graduated. Uh, the chief drove my mom and my sisters down from the reserve from Saskatchewan all the way to BC
Oh,
to be at my graduation. I was presented with a star blanket. Um, Amazing. That was everything I worked hard for up to this moment. Graduated, no work. Depression started hitting me. Uh-oh. All these unresolved feelings of loss hit me, and then depression hit me like crazy. I didn't get out of bed for a week one time, and I had work to go to at Walmart. I ended up getting fired from there, moved in with my friend, um, started over, and then one point, this is before everything changed. I was at the lowest. I woke up at like 5 in the morning, and I was anxious, and I didn't know what was going on with my body. I stood up, walked to the front door, and my best friend, he's putting on his boots to go to work. He's like, "What are you doing up? You're never up this early." Um, I was like, I need to go. I need to run. I need to get out of here. So I booked it at the door and I ran. In my head, I ran for like half an hour, but really it was probably like 5 minutes because my cardio wasn't the best back then. But I ended up on the top of this hill and I just, I broke down. All those feelings and things I was holding in, the antidepressants that were holding the emotions back that I was ignoring, everything just came out and I just started crying. I I've never cried like that before. But then eventually I started breathing more and I just started asking the universe for things. I said I just want to be an animator. I want to get into this industry. I want to make something of myself. I want to make something for myself. I just need this. I need it more than air. And then I picked myself up, dusted myself off, walked back home. And a week later, that's when my friend Sven, my best friend from school, called me about Yeti Farm and walked in, got the job, been working for 12 years.
Wow.
Sometimes just giving yourself up and letting go of holding on to those emotions that you're not dealing with and just letting them run their course. That's what you got to do. That's the best thing you can do for yourself, is to feel those emotions.
Yeah. Let them run through you.
Yeah. Holding them in is just causing toxicity.
It's like a wound that's infected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You
Yeah.
pull in the claw out of your back
Yeah.
and then
Exactly.
the healing can happen. Jeez. And then to go from that to going to my last year at Yeti Farm, I had my best friend Tico, the guy I was living with, his dad passed away in a motorcycle accident. This guy was like my father figure. Um, my dad, I didn't know my dad. Well, I do know my dad, but he's just never been around. He calls me once every 7 years, and it's been like to a T. He does call me 7 years. Um, but this guy was like my dad. I called him dad. He called me his son. And he passed away. This is kind of where the turning point happened in my healing process and healing that generational trauma came. I had my first kid. We're a year into having her. I feel so disconnected from her. I felt lost. I felt, again, depressed. I didn't know who I was. And I started feeling so empty and I couldn't figure out what was going on. This is where I finally accepted the idea of um, counseling. And that's where I realized that the generational trauma that I'm not dealing with is starting to show up. There are things that happened in my life, my earlyhood life, that I wasn't dealing with, that I was pushing down and keeping in, pushing behind this door. The way my therapist says it, you have this door that's closed and it's overfilling, and it's things are starting to spill out. Um, it's time to slowly open the door and let stuff spill out and deal with those things. Uh, and that began my journey of counseling. I still go to counseling at least as much as I can, as much as my benefits will allow. um,
Yeah.
but yeah, again, I I'm a big advocate for counseling. If you are even thinking about it or considering it, please do it. Your life will change. It sounds like I'm I'm preaching, but it's more than that. It's more of like, if you go to the gym to work out to take care of your health and your body, your brain is a muscle too, and it needs to be taken care of. And the best way to do that is counseling.
Yep. And I'd advocate personal counseling, but also family counseling.
Yeah.
I found that in family counseling, because it was just me and my son, it still is just me and my son, hopefully for another little while before he moves out again, um, that in learning about my relationship with my son, I was able to understand myself.
Mhm.
And then I could take that and
Yeah.
talk to my own counselor about that
Yeah.
and say, this is what I've been finding. Because just, everyday life and doing what I'm doing and talking about that, I find it doesn't, for me, it's not as in depth
Yeah.
as when I'm talking about my relationship with my son.
Yeah. He's got an outsider's perspective of you,
Yeah, and
and
also
you him, right?
how I behave with him
Yeah,
is really more reflective of how I was raised
yeah,
and the issues that I faced and the barriers and the challenges that I faced growing up.
yeah,
It's, I mean, I was the same with being, actually, I was raised in a Catholic and a Baptist household. So
yeah,
we had two churches we had to go to. I call myself a recovering Catholic.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah,
And,
I think.
and
Sorry, I had a
yeah, go ahead.
similar thing. I think they. I just remember in church being like, "Hey, who's Catholic or who's Catholic and who's Christian?" And I didn't know where to put my hand up, but I noticed that they didn't. It was my foster family, and I was like, "Okay, well, I don't know who's who."
Yeah, exactly. And that my own spirituality, our own indigenous spirituality was frowned upon. Well, who do you think you are? You're trying to be something special,
Yeah,
you know? Well,
yeah,
this is part of my culture,
yeah,
you know. Oh, Monac, just, don't worry about that stuff.
yeah.
Well, that
And
stuff's,
now we're tasked at healing that trauma.
yeah.
It's our job now. But what about the kid that I was the kid? I needed that,
Yeah.
right? That whole conversation's there too. Like, uh,
Yeah. I remember because I smudged with my son, and we've raised him. I've raised him more around the indigenous spirituality. And I was
yeah.
picking him up from school one day. He was like in kindergarten or something, and he said, "Mom, when we go home," and the teacher's standing right there, right? When we go home, can we do that thing that's secret? I'm like, secret. And I look at
Yeah.
the teacher, and the teacher looks at me. I'm like, secret. What is that you mean? What do you mean? And he said, well, where we take the smoke and we put it over ourselves. I'm like, sacred. It's sacred. It's sacred.
God.
Smudging. We smudge at home.
Yeah. Oh, that would horrify me. I'm like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
Yes, we can smudge when we get home. We'll do that. Yes, you bet we will.
Yeah. Now we're going to.
Yeah, for sure now.
we we smudge. Our oldest is super into it. My youngest is like, it's stinky. I don't want to do it. I'm like, just get over it, you demon. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
But she's getting into it now. She's starting to like understand it. She goes, just squints her eyes at me and just like do it. And it's
Yeah. Well, I found at first I wasn't fond of the smell either with the sage, but as the years went by and there became more and more positive connotations around the sage and around the smudging, now I
mhm.
love it. When I
Yeah.
smell it, I love it because
I tell you what, I don't wash my hair. I wash my hair like once or twice a week. And when I smudge, it stays in my hair. I'm like, yes, this
oh yeah, I
is
love that.
what's
I love
smelling my hair all the time.
yeah
Yeah.
when I can smell that around me. Yeah, I go to a diabetic dietitian at Wabano at an Indigenous Health Center. And when I go in, he always asks, "Would you like to smudge?" And I always say, "Yeah." Like
Yeah.
that's what we do. And I find it so great. It's so grounding. And then we talk about just helpful tips and stuff like that. Like it's not
Oh
a
yeah.
it's
Especially it feels like because I'm off reserve, it feels like a teleportation phone call. Like say if someone's went through hard times on the reserve, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna smudge for you in the morning. Smudge and it's like I'm talking to them via the spirits. I'm like, yo,
yeah
smudge for you. Here it is.
yeah
You ordered a bucket of smudge or bucket a box of smudge. Here we go.
yeah exactly. As
Yeah,
much I'll take my prayers to you. Here you go, and they can hear us. So
yeah. Direct line.
yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love our culture. It's so cool. It's so rich in history.
And
It's
a
cool.
connection, this
Yeah,
connection that we have, and the gentleness and the way that we respect
yeah,
that just isn't a part of mainstream. That kindness and when we put down, even when we, in my community, we hunt moose, you know,
yeah. Oh,
we
love
trap,
moose. Yeah,
putting down the tobacco, thanking the creation for,
yeah,
feeding us and for clothing us,
yeah.
you know, and that
I
idea
love
that
that. So and then the meat. the meat goes to elders and children first, and
Exactly.
you get what's left. And it's just that's a
Yeah.
cool symbiotic relationship with nature, culture,
Yeah.
people.
And we're not above all of creation. We're integral. We have a
Yeah.
creation story that talks about that. How all of the I always say that the creator, when she was making human beings, and she went to the rest of creation, and so all of they were made first, and we were made last. So all of creation, each of them gave us gifts, and because of those gifts, we're able to survive. Like they say, we learn patience from the white pine. We learn family from the wolf. We even lice taught us persistence.
I tell that to my wife.
Yeah. When they come home with it, okay, here we
Yeah.
go.
This is persistence
This is
in
persistence.
manifest. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And then like it's just I it reminded me of when I used to live in 100 Mile House, which is like north BC, northern BC ish. And that's where I spent a lot of the foster care time in foster care. But there were times where I was living with my mom. She got me into grass dancing there, and um, I'd met this man. I think his name's Charlie, but he was teaching me how to grass dance. Um, and it was I would grass dance for the school, the talent shows and stuff like that. And then we went back into foster care, and I lost it. And then for the longest time, I tell people, oh, I'm a grass dancer. I used to grass dance when I was a kid. And then just recently, last year, my brother found this old newspaper clipping from Hunter Mill House, and right there is me, full regalia, dancing, and his whole story right up about how I grass danced. And for that was such a healing thing for me because I'd been telling people this, and I begun to start to like not believe it because I didn't know if it was true because there's that time was like a lot of blank memory because of the things that happened. Um, but then I saw it and it was like, it's real. That is me. Like, that's still me. And it's like, now I have this yearning and calling to get back into dance. Um, and that's kind of like a part of that whole pitch idea was going back to the reserve and dancing again. Um, and then reconnect. That's reconnection 100%, right?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely. That's amazing. And that is, I mean, you are really such an inspiration for other
I
kids,
appreciate that. Yeah.
you know?
And I just want to be that, not just inspiration to them, but I want to be inspiration to that little version of myself. Um, I'm still trying to inspire that kid to get out of bed and play more video games or go outside. I don't know.
Yeah.
Invest in Apple.
Yeah. Exactly. I want to play. I mean, I've worked all my life and now I want to play.
Yeah.
You know? I just want to make stuff and, do things that are fun and get that joy back in my life, you know? Like,
Do you ever feel like our people are more creative and arts defined than any other like form of work? That makes sense.
yeah, I feel that because we didn't have a separate artist, or if somebody was that way inclined, then they were supported by the community. They would get fed, they would get clothes, they would, but you see, in my community, because we followed the trail of the food, every family had their
Yeah.
own trail. We didn't make paintings, or we didn't, but it went into everything we did. It was woven, literally or figuratively,
Yeah.
into our clothes, into our tools, into everything we did. So I think that's why because it wasn't a separate thing, it was integral. It was
Yeah.
integral to our identity. And I think that's why there are so many talented people,
Yeah.
incredibly talented people in our communities. It's just all a part of our nature.
There's so many awesome, amazing stories waiting to be told that are just being held back by the technology or the opportunity.
Yeah. or the
Just the
people.
opportunity alone, like
Yeah.
that's how you get stories like Res Dogs.
Oh, I love that show.
I love that show, and
Oh my
we're
god.
getting more
I'm
stories like
watching it
that.
like my fifth time watching it. Yeah.
It's so it's such a look behind the veil of what res life is like. It's a little bit more dramatized there, but like the humor's there.
Oh yeah,
The shirts,
absolutely.
the people, everyone has a character, like an uncle, crazy uncle that's in that show. It's just a different actor,
Everybody
right?
knows
But
a Gary Farmer or the guy that pop they call Big.
yeah, like the whole berry picker joke, like, oh, he's a berry picker. This is that's such a native thing to know, but like you're allowing society to see what we are, like who we are and what our humor is,
Yeah. And
and
even
they find it funny.
oh yeah, yeah. Well, I love the scene where William Knifeman and
Yes.
Bear are in the church and they're watching the two women speak to each other. Uh, the one, her name is from Willow, Laura Dannon, and then that blonde one. They're talking,
Yeah.
and so Bear is talking to William Knifeman, and he William the spirit. He's standing there, and he's eating the Eucharist while they're
Okay.
talking. And he's saying, "Oh,
Yeah.
you never interfere with the business of women." He said, "I saw something when I was a little kid, and oh, I'll never be the same." And then he goes, "Body of Christ." And Bear's like, "No." He goes, "Okay, don't know what you're missing." And
Body of Christ.
Body of Christ.
There's another thing there that I haven't seen anybody post yet, but I was gonna make a TikTok about it. Um, there's a part where the last season. This is spoilers for anybody who's watching, so you can pause it for or skip ahead a little bit. Um, there's a part where William Knifeman and Bear they split up.
Yeah,
They have that fight in the desert,
yeah.
and he calls him like useless basically, and then walks away. Then William Knifeman looks up, and he has that single tear that comes down. That's a reference to that old American ad for uh,
Littering.
littering. Yeah, and there's like if you look it up, crying Indian
Yeah,
in the gift church, it'll be there.
yeah,
Turns out the actor who played the Indian wasn't actually native. He was a white dude
yeah. He was
or
Italian.
Italian dude. Yeah, and this I think was the creators of the show taking back that and making it actually a native person, and like it's reference to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I love
That
how
show's so smart.
yeah, they take that pop culture and they just make it indigenous. They
Yeah,
put that indig spin on it,
yeah,
and it's hilarious because that's how we saw it. That's exactly, you know,
yeah.
how we
And it's
saw
just the fact where it's like now a lot of those actors, not indigenous actors, are they're starting to be like people are being aware of like, hey, that's not an indigenous person playing an indigenous person. Like that's being called out now is great, and now it's showing like society and people who are interested in media aren't going to put up with people who aren't of that ethnic race playing those roles. Uh, it the fact that is even was even allowed back then is wild.
Yeah, they didn't care. It was all
No,
pan-Indianism. It was all, you know. There was.
yeah,
Do you remember the comedian? Is I think his name was Charlie Rich,
really rich.
something like that.
Yeah, I think I
Yeah,
do.
yeah. He says, they always have these old westerns where the all these Indians come over the hill and they're hooping and hollering on their horses, and they're coming after the white guys. He said, we never did that. We snuck up on you.
I remember him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. We snuck up on you. We didn't come over the hill hooping and hollering.
Have you have you talked to what's his name? Big name indigenous actor. Um, he's in Wind Talkers.
Yeah, Adam Beach.
Adam Beach. Have you talked to him?
No, I'd love to.
I know somebody who kind of knows him.
Really?
I might be able to reach out to him and be like, or reach out to them to see if they can.
Oh, that would be amazing.
They met playing video games.
No way. No
So,
way.
yeah, there's a game called PUBG, Players Unknown Battleground. My my best friend, who was my best man at my wedding, plays it all the time. He met him on there, and he's like, "Oh, I'm Adam Beach." He didn't believe it for the longest time, but then like they started talking more, and then my brother started playing with them. And just recently, Adam Beach did a speaking gig on Whitefish, uh, Big River First Nation, uh, and my brother met him, and my brother's like, "Hey, I know you through this game." And he's like, "What?" And then my brother said his online name, and he's like, "No way, you're him." I was like, he's like, "Yeah." Then he sent me a photo of him and Adam Beach. I was like, "What the heck? This is so wild." And a little bit of an offshoot, my buddy was on TikTok live with Adam Beach, and I was like, "What the heck are you doing?" He's like, "Hop on live." And I hopped on with him, and I was talking to Adam Beach through through him. And then I was like, to my wife, I'm like, "Chad, come here." She comes in, she goes, "Who's this?" And she like starts looking. She's like, "No way." And then like right away, both our backs went up straight. We're just
Yeah.
like, "Hey, what's up, Adam Beach? Coolest guy." We're like best friends. But um
That's
I'll talk.
incredible.
I don't know if he does podcasts as much, but I could reach out to my friend and see if he can.
Oh, that would just be incredible.
I think it'd be so
Absolutely
cool.
incredible. I love that. Wow.
I also, okay, this is where I was gonna get to with this. It leads to how many people I've met that were actually indigenous working within the animation sector. Uh, I've only met like 5 people who are indigenous. You've talked to one of them,
Hmm.
Maritza. There is like 4 other people that I know. Um, so like maybe at the end of this, I can give you their contact
That would be
information. But
amazing. Yeah, I'd love that.
there's an amazing artist out in Vancouver who works within the industry. Her name's Siki, I think. Um, I could reach out to her and see if she wants to reach out to
Mhm.
you and stuff like that. But again, I want to get more eyes on these individuals because there's not a lot of us out there, and I feel like if people were to see that there's more of us in this industry, then it might maybe want
Well,
them to think about getting into it.
you've met
So
almost a quarter of them in BC.
yeah, is that wild? Um, Maritza,
Yeah,
uh, she went to the same school I went to, which is
yeah.
Seton High School. Uh, she had this teacher. Her name was oh my god, I can't remember her name for some reason. It's because I'm on the spot. Miss Thompson, that's her name. She was our art teacher. She was her art teacher. She she holds Miss Thompson in high regard to helping her inspire her to get into animation and what she does. Miss Thompson was a pivotal person in my life to help me graduate and to find these colleges that wanted to go to. Um, Miss Thompson was married to the principal when the time came to graduate high school. I didn't have enough credits to graduate, and for me, being off reserve, away from home, living with my friend's family, that meant failure. And if that was failure, I didn't know what I was going to do. So I walked into the principal's office and I was like, I need to graduate. I will do anything to graduate. I cannot fail here. I explained more than that, but and he's like, "Oh, he knew me through Miss Thompson. Miss Thompson must have talked to him and told him like how cool I must have been. I mean, I'm pretty cool, but uh, I feel like my passion and my goals were cemented. She knew that. She must have talked to him, and then he was like, I hadn't really talked to him, but he was like, Harley, let's go look at the computer. He's looking at the computer. He's like, oh, you have a bunch of credits from the reserve in Saskatchewan that didn't carry over. I'll just plop those in there and plop those in there. Bing, 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 bing. That's a keyboard. But he's like, okay, you're graduating. Congrats, Harley. I was like, holy shit. Uh, now my life is going to start happening. This is the point where I'm going to make a difference. And that's where I went to college. I figured out Art Institute from there. That didn't work out. Center for Arts Technology. Um, yeah, Miss Thompson
Wow.
definitely changed the lives of 2 important Indigenous uh, animators, creators.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Like imagine just that one person being able to influence.
Yeah, that's the power of influence. I
Yeah,
feel like if you are just meeting someone throughout the day, just saying
yeah,
a hi to someone or a hello can change their trajectory.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, and exactly. And the power of education.
yes,
You
uh,
know,
like
because it's more than about what you learn. It's who you meet.
yeah,
You know.
passionate. If you're passionate about your job and you care, that will bleed into the inspiration that you give your students.
Mm,
Um, I'm proof, living proof of that.
mm,
Uh, and that's why I speak so highly of Miss Thompson. Uh, she's like this powerful figure that I owe a lot of my career to.
mm.
And once I found out Maritza was the same, went through the same thing, I text Miss Thompson like, "Holy shit, you're so cool." And then she just plays it off like it was okay, it's cool. But cool people, they don't acknowledge their coolness; they're just cool. You've noticed I've been saying I'm pretty cool this whole podcast, but
Well, you are.
yeah, I have two kids who don't care about the shows I work on, so I think my ego is I don't have one
Yeah,
anymore.
children are
It's
humbling.
yeah, oh for sure. I'm like, hey, you want to watch Pete the Cat? I worked on this. Nah, I'm good. Damn.
All right.
Yeah,
You
they don't
want
even want to watch Baby Shark, which is pretty
to? Yeah.
relevant. That's the word. Yeah,
You'll
yeah.
work on something someday, or they'll get older and say, you know what, my dad worked on, and then
I'm still waiting for the bring your dad to school day.
yeah,
Bring
yeah,
your parent to school.
yep, yep,
Pretty cool.
yep. Either that, or you'll make your own enormous movie, and they'll be like,
I've
or
got
maybe they'll
ideas.
be one of the voices, and they'll be able to say, my dad made that movie, and I was in it.
I'm not going to pay them. It's all going to be
Of course not.
under the table. You
Yeah,
got to do the dishes first, that kind
yeah,
of thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
who wants to become an artist? That'll be.
Oh, they're so creative. Beta, especially right now, she's making. I've had her art all over my room. She just watched. Where did it go? She just watched Ace Ventura.
Oh yeah.
It's backwards, but it says, "Hey, are you HR shoving stuff?" That's what he says in the movie. Um, Ever cat.
Oh
Um, I think this was a Father's Day gift, or
wow, that's really
and
good.
then one of like the first like drawings that I really realized that she's like really cool. She drew me a picture of Gravedigger because I was talking about how oh this Gravedigger monster truck is the coolest monster truck, and then she drew it, and I was like oh that's up on my wall right now too. She also
Wow.
drew me the middle finger because I taught her what that means. So she drew the middle finger, but it really funny.
Yeah.
My kids are wild. We have
Yeah.
a we have a like a they're allowed to swear when they're at home
Yeah.
because they feel safe and there was a study that came out that said that like kids that feel safe that are okay to swear at their own house they tend to like not keep secrets or like they're
Yeah.
more willing to talk open right um yeah it's cool
Yeah.
until we have like a thing if you're outside no swearing she's running Fortnite she's like just shit like one's good enough bud
Yeah.
not 20 just chill yeah those kids are they're cool man
Yeah.
and I'm so glad they get to experience a healthy upbringing and
Exactly. And they'll see too that how you're inspiring other kids, how you want to make sure that other kids can, know that they can do this kind of work, and that it's not that, and it doesn't just, it'll be that they can do this kind of work, but it'll also mean, well, by that logic, if they can do this kind of work, then they can do other kind of work.
Mm-hmm.
and it removes barriers in all kinds of areas because it means
I've
they can be who they are.
yes, and I've like explained to her like because I have to leave on the plane to go and do these speaking gigs, right? And she's like, "Dad, I don't want you to leave." I'm like, "Well, you know why I'm going, right?" And she's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Well, if I had someone like me talking and sharing their story, that would have helped me like push to be or want to be an animator." She's like, "Yeah, I get it." And like there's understanding, like she is getting it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then maybe when she's a bit older, she'll really understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's a slow process, and
Mm-hmm.
kids will they'll figure it out.
Yeah, and maybe when she's older, you can take her and she can see her dad talking to her like all these people.
We've talked about that too.
Yeah.
That's I'm hoping maybe the next one. It's just flying so damn expensive now,
Oh my God, I know.
and now she's out of the age where she can't get a free flight. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
she's Louise.
yeah, and it's the same price regardless of who's. It's no kid's price, right? Like it's the same price.
I flew to Japan round trip the first time I went,
Oh,
$650.
holy cow!
That was with a layover in China. I flew to back home last year or earlier this year because I had a bunch of family members pass away. Um, each time was like almost 2 grand, and we just got our cows and plows payout. So that's like most of my cows and plows was just sapped away like that.
Yep. And it's the same thing with Moose Factory. Whenever we go up to Moose Cree, it's well, we don't fly. Right?
Yeah.
No, you drive. You take the you drive. You get there. Sometimes you take a night, and then you drive the rest of the way to Cochrane, and then the next day you take a train, and that's 5 hours, and then you have to take a boat across to the island, like
What I
a
want to do,
water taxi.
I want to hit more of those northern communities.
Mm.
It was hard to get to communities. Um, so cool. I remember wanting to do a like a tour across Canada, but like hitting like all the northern countries and then our northern communities, then coming back through. That's one of the goals on my goal list. Soon.
That would be cool. That would
Yeah.
be way cool. Like, let me know if you're going to do that project, and maybe we
Well,
can.
I signed with an agency, and they're going to handle like the back end of like dealing with the negotiations with like money and stuff like that. Just because it's like it is expensive to fly out there, and like if I'm going out there for that time, um, it's I can't pay out of pocket because I'd be crazy in debt, right? So there has
Yeah.
to be some form of
Um,
compensation for that, especially with the the amount of um, history of work I have. 12 years of experience, that means something.
yeah.
At the same time, like some communities are paying crazy amounts of money to have just a guest speaker come out that isn't Indigenous, right? And I'm Indigenous. I feel like I am. My story is very inspirational.
Hmm.
Um, what I bring to that community means something, and why shouldn't I be paid accordingly to that, right? Not to say that it's all about money, but like it should matter in that sense.
No, we have to start valuing
Yeah,
ourselves and our expertise and our knowledge.
yeah,
And what you do is very specified. And yeah, why would they bring in a non-Indigenous person when
yeah,
you know
yeah. And it's like
you relate so much more to the kids in the community?
100%. And like, not to say like having George St. Pierre at your on your reserve talking about like fighting isn't beneficial to the kids, but uh, I the whole spectacle of that's cool. But had the times that we had Gordon Tatusis on our reserve was so cool. Like this guy was amazing, right? He's native
Yeah,
and he writes awesome music.
yeah,
That's cool. I want to see more of that.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that with people like you, that sort of thing is going to start to happen and happen more often.
I think this year's going to be more. It's going to ramp up a bit more. So in July, that's when the workshop happens. I'm going to try to work out a couple more with the surrounding reserves there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, especially now that I have this time off, I'm going to utilize it as much as I can after the video game break. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Gotta have that.
yeah, well, for sure.
Well, thanks. This has been an incredible conversation.
I'm
I've really
happy to
enjoyed
be
it.
here. I appreciate you having me on the show. I got one of your ads on Instagram. I'm like, whoa, no way, this is so cool. And then I saw Maritza. I'm like, now I gotta. So I reached out.
Fantastic.
Um, it's been an awesome experience. I always love hearing different perspectives about being Indigenous, and I love learning. Um, and I love sharing my story because I feel it is inspirational and it is beneficial to hear.
And if you know anybody else, any other kind of, we do lots of artists, all kinds of genres. If you know anybody who might be interested, please uh,
My
have them
brother,
in touch. Yeah.
my brother's super cool. He's a painter and he works in education too.
Mm-hmm.
Works with kids. He works with prevention on Big River First Nation. Also, he an amazing painter. He did like Starry Night, but like an Indigenous version of it with like teepees and stuff. And he's like, man, I gotta put some, I gotta get prints of this. I'm like, dude, I'll pay for your prints, and then once you make like the cost back, you just pay me the cost. You don't have to pay me any interest. Just do that. Paid for it tenfold. He's got like that's his bread and butter now.
Right
Is
on.
painting. Yeah, and like education's great. He loves it. He loves teaching kids.
Mm-hmm.
But like painting when it's not, because he does paintings for like families and stuff like that, like portraits and stuff. But he's like, it kind of sucks the creativity out of it because it's like a job, right? Where when he paints like that, it's just creativity, and he gets to make money off of it, and it's like that's what he wants. I think I'll get you in touch with him. He's really cool.
Fantastic. Well, Kachimi Gwich, thank you so much, Harley. I've loved talking to you today. This is one of my just most favorite conversations I've had.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It was awesome talking to you too.